very, very cold in Winnipeg this morning. It felt like about minus 25, but I've got the warmth of so many Canadians who wish me well, and thank you for asking. And the answer is I feel very well.
Was the meeting with Mr. Kenney warm? Or how
it was. Not only was it warm, but there was an awful lot of common ground and alignment, starting with we think this is a strong federation and we want to make it stronger. And the point that the Alberta economy has helped drive Canadian growth for decades and will continue to. And I thought that there was a spirit of openness, that there were no hard lines drawn, that it was an honest exchange, and we move forward.
On C-69, I think two I've lost track of, but last time we saw you, you said that there could be movement on the implementation of C-69.
Right.
Mr. Kenney yesterday said that one of the things he was hoping for was movement on the project list, perhaps that intra-provincial projects not be subject to the new regulation, or that projects that could lower or that could change things to lower emissions could be not subject to C-69 new regulation. So are you open to compromise on those things?
Yeah, the Prime Minister reiterated the government's openness to talk about implementation, keeping in mind what the objective of the legislation is, to get good projects built, to ensure that there's proper consultation with Indigenous peoples, and that there has been a project that can withstand the scrutiny of the investor, environmentalists, and Indigenous peoples. That's the objective.
On the project list, is the government open to changing the project list, and when would that decision be made?
My understanding is that the government is open to talk about implementation with people who have ways in which the spirit of the bill can be improved.
So it's not the project list then?
I think that to say that we have an open mind to improving implementation of the bill implies that we're looking for better ideas to make a good bill better, especially when you compare this bill with what it's replacing and the kind of trouble that we got into.
But I guess
the
what's
Frontier project will go ahead. Under the way this is going and the way you're interpreting things, do you think the Frontier Oil Sands project will go ahead?
I think that would be a better question to ask the Minister.
Just to clarify, Mr. Carr,
a couple of weeks ago,
just to clarify on the project list, I'm trying to phrase it, would modifying the project list that is subject to new regulations respect the objective of the bill, as you said, that is to get good projects built, but also consultation and have a robust process? Would that respect the spirit of the bill?
Both the Prime Minister and Minister Wilkinson have said that they have an open mind to look at implementation of the bill in order to make it a better implementation process than the one that's on the drawing board now. And that means that we are very keen to engage Albertans with ideas that can make the bill stronger, keeping in mind what the objectives of the bill are.
Yeah, but can that include changing the list?
Well,
the project list?
An open mind means that let's have a conversation.
So a couple of weeks ago, Premier Scott Moe had a very similar meeting with the Prime Minister, and he more or less stormed out of it. He was furious. He said he'd heard nothing. There were no changes. The response we had from the Prime Minister's office suggested that it had been a heated sort of discussion. Now we're about 2 weeks after that, Premier next door, and it seems like the tone has changed all around. Has something changed in your government's approach to the West, or vice versa, in your opinion?
Our government's approach to the West starts with an understanding that the prairie has been such an integral part of building the Canadian economy and Canadian society. Look at what we have done in welcoming people from all over the world to Western Canada. Look at the progress we're making with Indigenous peoples throughout the prairie. And to move from that platform of what the potential of the region is, not only to build the Canadian economy, but to be part of Canada's international brand. What does the world need? The world needs protein. The world needs energy. The world needs human intelligence. And the prairies are leading in every one of those and many more elements of where we go next. And I felt in that meeting there was a sense of a combined objective to take the strength and to build it not only for one region but for the whole country, and that includes a strong Alberta.
Mr. Kenney said,
was it a heated meeting? Was it
not a bit, absolutely none.
Mr. Kenney,
It was respectful and it was intelligent, and there was an exchange among leaders of such an important province in the government of Canada that was designed to find common ground to build the country forward together, and there wasn't a moment of heat.
Mr. Kenney said that he's hearing the right things from Ottawa, but the question is whether you'll put your money where your mouth is. So, what is your commitment to Alberta on actually acting instead of just words?
Well, we saw some examples of that already today in the conversation and in what the Prime Minister has said, that the finance ministers are meeting next week. They'll be talking about the fiscal stabilization plan. There's an open mind to look at ways in which that can be improved. We have reiterated our commitment to completing the Trans Mountain expansion. We think it's important not only for Alberta, but for all of Canada. We have to develop these new markets. 99% of our exports of oil and gas go to the United States. The world is hungry for our resources, and not only our natural resources. And I think that's a very important point to make, because we made the announcement that Edmonton was going to be the hub of e-commerce from North America to Asia. We have made announcements in Saskatchewan about the importance of developing advanced manufacturing and advanced agriculture. We have universities that are some of the best universities in North America and the world. This is a region that's dynamic and it's vibrant, and it's fueled not only by natural resources but by entrepreneurship, by innovation. And it's that spirit and that creativity that has taken us to where we are now and that will help us to propel for the future.
Mr. Kenney wanted to have a completion date for TMX. Have you provided one?
There is no interest in any unnecessary delays to TMX. Why? Because we believe that this is a project that's good for Canada, and there is nothing that we have done or would intend to do to delay it a day longer than is necessary.
So why not provide a completion date then?
Because you never know on a construction schedule exactly when this is going to happen, when that is going to happen. The commitment is the commitment I'm making now, that this is what the government believes to be good for Alberta and for Canada. We invested $4.5 billion in the pipeline. We'll see the pipeline through because we understand the importance of expanding our export markets.
Did you discuss the completion date in the meeting? Was
Yeah,
it
we
discussed?
had a full discussion of TMX. It took up a good part of the first little bit of the meeting, and there was no disagreement. Premier Kenney was looking for more assurance. He received that assurance. We make it every day. I remember when I was Natural Resources Minister, you'll remember too, I would stand up in the House 4 times a day and say we were committed to TMX. So we're still saying so.
On the oil sands cap, is the government considering, does the government need to lower the cap on emissions on the oil sands in order to meet its new targets of net zero by 2050?
Everybody has a combined objective, and the combined objective is to use the resources we have now to help finance the transition over time to other sources of energy, and the entrepreneurship and the innovation is being driven by entrepreneurs in Alberta, among other places. So this is a national project around which we will find a national consensus, and I didn't hear very much disagreement on the objectives in that room today, and I'm confident that working together that we'll be able to meet those objectives.
Thank you very much.